All right, everyone. Getting started here in just a second. All right, welcome in, Danny. We'll give you a sec to join us here. All right,
I'm
on
here.
on the YouTube, I got you. All right, I think we're all ready to go here. Looking forward to discussing this one. We did our outlook a little bit ago, and yeah, there is actually Chris Finch sitting on the sideline, and it's interesting. He's actually able to bend his knee. Did he have the surgery?
I
I
believe he had
thought
the
he
surgery
did.
on Wednesday.
Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Your audio is sounding a little bit jumpy to me, but I'll see if other people feel the same way.
Yeah, it might be. Let me see. I might
Oh,
just
now
be
it's
on the
better.
wrong
Now it's better.
microphone. Let's see.
No, it's better now, Nate.
All right. Just make sure we're all good. When you have two microphones, it can be a problem.
I am super excited for this game. The
Yeah, I
mark
can't wait. I mean, the level of physicality I think is going to be like off the charts with these teams having had this much of a break.
and I mean some of the personal matchups. How do the Nuggets defend Carl Anthony Towns? How do they defend Anthony Edwards? I mean, there's just so much Jokic, so much all over the floor here.
Yeah, we'll check out who's on Jokic early. We might even see them just go differently than they plan to in like the first couple of possessions just to kind of throw it off a little bit. But both teams, as far as we know, are healthy right now.
Well, we know
And
Jamal Murray's dealing with
yeah, yeah, I didn't see what they actually officially said about him on the injury report, but uh, we have a loose ball foul immediately. Nuggets ball.
Okay, then.
Was that Gobert? Who'd they call for that?
Towns.
Amazing,
The
amazing
brand, the
start.
brand is strong.
So it is Towns on Jokic. Gobert has Gordon. Edwards has the matchup against Murray. Good job by Towns getting back in front of Jokic on the pick and roll. They'll run it again. Edwards is right behind Murray. He's really bothering him. He can't get the shot off. Murray's going to have to create it. You cannot beat Anthony Edwards that way, and we're going to get a offensive 3 seconds on Jokic. He was waiting for Murray to get the shot off, but Edwards nodding his head. He played great defense right there.
I hope Edwards can keep up this level of defense with the offense that he's going to do. And if he can, like, this becomes a much more interesting series. He was fantastic on that possession.
Here's Towns up top. He's guarded by Gordon. That's a good matchup for him for Denver. Conley off the screen. He's wide open. Porter Jr. was a little late coming off the passer, but Conley missing his first shot.
KCP looks good physically, dealt with that issue at the end of the Lakers series.
Yeah, that's another thing to keep an eye on. Jokic had now guarded by Gobert, backing in, tries to smash into him with the off arm, goes to the Sombor move, and Gobert gets his first stop of the game. I'm not sure if they intentionally went that way or it just happened to be what it was in transition. Conley off of two screens. This is an action I thought they should get a lot of. Edwards one-on-one against KCP, holding the ball a little too long here. He's just going to shoot over him, and that'll open the scoring in this series. 3-0 Minnesota.
Preliminarily, a lot of cross matching here.
Yeah, that could lead to a lot of transition. It's now Towns back on Jokic. Edwards plows in to Jokic. He's going to get called for a foul. As you see, Edwards shooting over KCP. He should be able to get his shot off on him. Here's Murray eluding Edwards, but rushed it. Towns will push up. He's got Conley ahead of him. Gobert running the floor hard. Back to Towns. Towns getting past Gordon. Count it. And there's the growth of the game in Karl Anthony Towns. He's so much better this season going to his left than he had been previously.
And that foul could end up looming large. We've talked about Karl Anthony Towns' foul propensity for fouls with Aaron Gordon. Like, you've already lost on it, and to get the and one in addition to committing that foul this early in the game,
Yeah.
I'd be concerned.
Karl Anthony Towns lost 20 pounds during his convalescence, shall we say, his rehab after that knee issue. Also, just came back amazingly quickly. It really ended up truly being in that 4 to 5 week time frame, which you almost never see. Conley trying to make KCP's catches tough. Murray going to come off of 2 screens. Gets space, fires. He missed that. It remains Edwards guarding Jamal Murray. Here's Conley leaving it for Gobert. Gobert couldn't corral it. They kick out. Edwards eluding Porter. Now gets to his spot easily against Murray, and Murray picks up the foul.
Second and one for the Minnesota Timberwolves already in this game. And Edwards, really strong start for him on both offense and defense, making the shots that Minnesota has generated so far have been significantly better than the shots Denver has generated.
No feed on playback. Did I not ever actually go live? Oh, that's the problem. Yeah, sorry. We just finished recording before this, so we were rushing a little bit as there's the first easy play for the Nuggets where they get 2 on the ball and then get behind the defense. Towns up top. Good denial by Porter on Conley. Now they want to use the screen. They'll just switch that. Conley attacking against Gordon. This is not the matchup they want. Gobert, he's got to go past Jokic. Jokic gives him a shove. Here's McDaniels missing, and the Nuggets defense stiffened that time. Now, yeah, they get Edwards picking up Gordon. Conley onto the preferred matchup of Caldwell Pope. And Jokic tried that face cut on Gobert. Felt like he was held, but it just goes out of bounds.
It was an aggressive pass. In some ways, you could think of that as a pass that was trying to bait the foul, but that wasn't quite enough contact there for me.
Edwards going to go after Murray. He'll just pull. Oh, yeah.
Ooh. And that's a timeout for Michael Malone. Just 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Sorry, 3 minutes and 12 seconds into this game.
All right, I'm going to grab something to drink and tweet us out here.
Apologies for the late start on playback.
Yeah, well, I'll apologize because I screwed that up.
Yeah, Nate and I just did our, it won't be out yet for a little bit on Dunked on Prime, but we did our series preview for Pacers Knicks, which was fun to put together. Finch is on the sidelines. We do not know what is going on there physically. There was reporting that he was going to have the surgery on Wednesday. I don't know that I saw anything definitively that it happened. You don't usually see it's happening this day and then that surgery does not occur. But I'm sure we'll get some reporting in the next little bit. And I'll do a timestamp when we're back in live action. There was so much transition. I like doing those off of a dead ball, and there weren't as many dead balls. Let's see. Everyone asked how the Wolves were going to score. We should have asked how the Nuggets are going to score. They'll be okay. The Wolves have a fantastic defense, but Denver has been so consistent in that respect. Okay, good. Oh, thank you to JJ Lynch. They talked about in pregame, Finch flew in a day late and is sitting protected in the second row. Nice. That's good. We knew they were going to try to figure out a solution here, and everyone's invested in trying to make that happen. It's just nice to see Chris Finch available enough to the players. My thought was it was going to be a skybox situation where he's up there because it would be less mobile, but we'll keep an eye on that over the course of the game. It's such a weird nuance in this series to have a head coach that is physically limited in this respect. It's something that we've, as far as I can recall, basically never seen before at this level of basketball. what is the biggest difference between the Lakers and the Wolves matching up against Denver? Let's see. There are a lot of different ones, but I think part of it is where the playmaking comes from for the Wolves and where it comes from for the Lakers. That the Lakers do have guards that handle it, with Reeves and Russell and everything else, but also you have LeBron and AD in the 4-5 pick and roll. So Towns has a role, but like the Edwards Conley element of it, I think that's really different. And also, it's going to be where the defensive pressure comes from. I mean, Anthony Edwards is a very different defensive guard than Denver faced in the last round.
Yeah, I think that's right. The two things I would point to is Aaron Gordon really has to guard more on the perimeter, like with Towns being such a great shooting threat, even from 4-point range. And then just having a guard where you're like, yeah, we don't like this guy. If we switch Jamal Murray on him, like this guy, he's just going to cook him in isolation, 20 feet from the basket potentially. Like Ant has a lot of comfort getting his shot off against smaller players. Here's Edwards on the blow by right to the basket. 14-2, and the Wolves serving notice that this will be a series early. And we're going to get a hold McDaniels. We haven't talked about that enough, that McDaniels actually has the matchup on Porter Jr. I think that's kind of interesting. And we got to also see whether Edwards, can he hold up on this level of workload, guarding Murray and being the main guy on offense.
Inbounded 8-17, 16, 15 left in the first quarter.
Jokic off the screen from KCP, goes at Towns. Gobert is lurking. Jokic goes into him, goes to the shuffle away, and you see the influence of Gobert right there. And normally that's an easy left-handed hook. He didn't feel comfortable with it, nor could he get the ball to Gordon on the baseline. Gobert will set the screen. They get Jokic out on the floor. This is the strategy that I think really makes a lot of sense, is get Jokic out on the floor and then attack elsewhere against the scrambling defense. Here's Conley, gets to the righty floater, left it short, tipped out. McDaniels goes right in, and he smoked the layup, goes right back up. He missed again, and Gobert and McDaniels came together and couldn't get the rebound. This is Porter Jr. Towns stepping up nicely. Porter Jr. fading away, but at least they ran him off the three-point line.
That's also how the feedback loops could work in Denver's favor in the series. They've been taking the ball out of the basket a whole lot early, but if they can get out in transition against a scrambled Wolves team, it'll be a little bit easier.
Yeah, they got to get Jokic out on the floor on those Edwards pick and rolls. Gobert trying to set a screen. They're just holding the ball here. This is a terrible possession. Now they get into it. Ant trying to string out Jokic. It's so obvious to me that that's the strategy. They got another wide open three there of just get Jokic out there and make him get as close to the sideline as you can and then swing the ball weak side. Now it's Jokic plows into McDaniels with that off arm, but then it's stripped and will go the other way. Nikola Jokic having a bit of a struggle here early.
Another turnover on a Jokic-involved action.
Now Conley going to get Edwards to set the screen. They switch it. Edwards had his chance. There it is. Yeah, that's what I was looking for him to do. He got inside position. Murray is fronting him, topsiding him, so they set the play up perfectly. Jokic closed down nicely by Towns. Now they want to set two screens for Murray. Murray sets up the screen nicely, but they'll just switch McDaniels onto him, and he dribbles off the foot of McDaniels to not going to be a kick ball. Probably should have been based on how it's performed. So, yeah, watch this. Murray, he's on top of Edwards. Jokic has to get out on the floor. He's worried about the screening action. There's nobody behind.
Also, that double screening action, that gets McDaniels onto Jamal Murray. You're fine with that as Minnesota.
Absolutely. Now it's a tough fadeaway from Porter Jr. That misses. Nuggets have only gotten a couple of decent looks, I would say, so far, though they're, of course, capable of making difficult ones. Conley. Gobert? Nope. Jokic got him. That time they didn't string Jokic out enough. And nice job getting back there. Towns running Murray off the line. Now Gobert guarding Porter Jr. This is not an advantage matchup for Denver. And he went absolutely nowhere. Just not a good decision. Again, you got Gobert on your best shooter. Move the ball. But that's a great job by McDaniels and Towns getting back to foil the initial attack. Edwards gets KCP on his back, tried to draw the foul, and no, we're going to go the other way. Caldwell Pope complaining that Edwards, once he got in front of him, used the off arm to hold him off. Denver has 4 points in almost 7 minutes here. Jokic is going to fire that three, but missed it. When Jokic starts hunting the three early, you know he's taking the game seriously. Here's Towns. Hasn't really had many attacks yet. Picks up his dribble. What a pass by Karl-Anthony Towns. And Minnesota is running Denver off the floor right now.
I believe that is the second Michael Malone timeout already.
Oh, it is.
And so, I mean, trying to resort. And for me, what has been most striking about this game is the quality of shot difference between these. I mean, Denver's been off rhythm. They've also had some turnovers. In Minnesota, yes, they've made some threes, but they've generally been pretty good looks, and they've had a lot of quality attempts around the basket. Let's see if we can get any. See if I can find any questions. Probably favor any team in the West bracket over any team in the East. Well, I mean, part of that is that there were injuries. I mean, there could have been some very different matchups if like Jimmy Butler hadn't gotten hurt, or if the Bucks guys, like a healthy Bucks team, would have been favored over a lot of teams in the Western bracket. But we didn't get that, and so if you want to say like play it as it lies, then sure. I mean, you could get into some of that. And one of the big challenges of 1-16, which is something I didn't appreciate years ago when I was arguing for it, is the television and travel elements. The NBA is an entertainment product. And so one of the ideas that I found most compelling, this is something that a few of us have talked about over the years, would be you keep the 1-8s in the first round and probably the first 2 rounds. But then when you get down to the final 4, let's call it, then at that point, it becomes conferenceless. And so at that point, then it becomes you probably use regular season, you presumably use regular season records 1, 2, 3, 4. And that does 2 things. One, their games don't overlap, so you don't have to run into those television issues. There are still some travel ones, but not too bad. And that allows you to ideally get the best finals matchup that you can. So I think it's worth considering. I'm very confident the NBA wouldn't go to it at least anytime soon. But I think that's the best hybrid approach that the league could really go to. Are the 4 best teams on the West? Where would you rank Boston with the less teams? I mean, Boston was just one of the best regular season teams in modern vintage. So saying that all of these teams in the West are better than them is really, really unfair. I would put Boston. I mean, they're right in that top tier for me with Denver, and I mean the way Minnesota's playing, maybe Minnesota too. And I was skeptical of Minnesota after I know they ran roughshod over the Suns, but they don't need to build out the sample too much more for me to put them in that top tier. And the Thunder, I'm still kind of wanting to see them against a real team. I think the Thunder are great. I wonder, like the kind of the no doubter group is always really hard. And it's the same skepticism with the Wolves, and both those teams can earn their way in real soon. Yeah.
If you're the Thunder, who do you want to win this series? I think probably Minnesota. Although I'm not sure. I mean, if Minnesota beats Denver, I'm probably going to pick them over OKC, I would say, just because that's
the way it would happen.
Well, yeah, you would think so, right? Alexander Walker is in, so is Reggie Jackson, and he's ramping up the pressure on Jackson already. With Murray on the bench, they post up on Jokic. Gobert, late clock, guarding him. Jokic gets to that Sombor shuffle, and they got great separation there I didn't see. Did they just switch that screen? Did they start with Reed on him on that play and switch it?
I didn't have a great look at that part
I
of the
think
action.
they ran a cross screen for that. I was looking at Alexander Walker guarding Jackson, so I missed it. Pick and roll. Jokic in a little more of a drop. That sets up Reed. Reed will drive in, and he blew it. Again, Jokic, it's so interesting how his rim protection works, even though he almost never gets off the ground on defense. Jackson forced out on the floor. They want to go back to Porter Jr. Advantage matchup there on Reed with McDaniels out of the game. And Naz Reid is going to be an interesting one here as well, because there's this feeling that he's so much better than the Denver bench players, but he just has not performed well in his playoff career. They're trying to keep Ant on the side, guarded by Porter Jr. Back door. Triple teamed as Alexander Walker went into his path. Here's Ant going around Jokic. Jokic with a good stop again. Gobert points Reed onto Jokic in transition. Here's Porter Jr. again trying Gobert, and it's really dumb of him to do that. That leads to this from Alexander Walker. Great closeout by KCP. Throw up, tipped. Minnesota's gotten a number of offensive boards, but hasn't been able to convert yet. Now it's a throw ahead. Holiday almost lost it. Holiday's corner three. Can't get that. They are going to make those guys shoot from the outside. Here's Reed. And he turns it over again. Really tough start for Reed already. Oh, Jackson broke the ankles of Alexander Walker. Now they get deep post position, and Alexander Walker commits the foul there. Jokic upset. I think he probably could have got a three-point play on that one.
I think that's why he's mad at himself there. And there will be times where Jokic gets a non-Gobert Towns read on him, and I think one of the greatest things about Jokic is that he attacks quickly and mercilessly in those situations.
Jokic gets that first free throw. Denver starting to stabilize offensively now. Yeah, Jokic on any non-big is an auto bucket or foul. Absolutely. He's so big. His hands are so good. He's relentless getting position, and they know they can just lob it up to him. Like, there's none of this, oh, I'm going to catch it 20 feet from the basket and face up and try to back down. Like, he just goes right to the front of the rim. He's trying to post up Reed on Holiday. They don't look that way. Edwards setting up a three from Alexander Walker. That was a wide open look, but it missed. Jackson going to try Alexander Walker here. Two screens coming to his right. Edwards steps out to ice it. Jokic throws it, then cuts in front of Gobert. Jokic wants to get left shoulder, bludgeoning into Gobert, and a foul is called.
I believe they called that a reach on Gobert, but that is his first foul. No one on either team has two yet, though it feels like it's coming very, very soon for someone.
Yeah, and Jokic is getting away with absolute murder there on the off arm. As does everybody, obviously. Obviously, I'm not singling him out. That play where Gafford had the huge dunk on Zubac
just
yesterday.
Him. Yeah.
But I do think you're seeing here pretty clearly what a downgrade it is from Towns to Naz Reid. And now they've got Anderson in too. So both teams getting into their benches. But the Wolves' offense really starting to stagnate, I think, has been the bigger issue. Jackson trying to pressure up on Alexander Walker. And no foul. He hit him a number of times. Here's Jackson up. Porter Jr. down.
And after that fantastic start by the Timberwolves, it is an 11-0 run for the Denver Nuggets to bring this game to a one-possession contest.
Yeah, and really it's the zero that's been the bigger problem. And having that be without Murray, that Alexander Walker, like, you just got to be better than that. Like, against Reggie Jackson pressuring you, like, come on, man.
From Mark, did you guys scout Nickeil Alexander-Walker coming into the NBA? If so, what was the projection? We did not. Nate and I we don't really have the bandwidth now to do outside of the top 10. Now, that said, Nate and I actually had seen Walker. I don't know that we talked about him too much. I remember seeing him at Adidas Nations back when he was a high schooler, so pre Virginia Tech. And I really liked him. I thought that Alexander Walker had a physical profile. The guy I compared him to at that time in my notes was Danny Green. And I thought that he could be a defensive player who could be, I didn't trust his on ball game, but defensive player who could hit some shots. And so then years later, when he becomes an NBA player and has a rough go, it was a little bit different. But in terms of a full projection, I mean, we generally, unless a guy is both projected to be in the top 10 and typically taken in the top 10, we just don't have the time. I love doing draft work. It's how I started. You know, it's my first gig at Real GM was as draft guy, but it's just, it takes so much time to do that well. And we just don't have it.
Yeah, the thought was, I mean, I'd seen him a number of times at the lower levels, but yeah, I didn't do a formal scout on him in college. But I knew his game. I liked the pick initially, and he had a great summer league at first. You thought he might be this on-ball guy, but instead he's now finally in Minnesota has become what he probably should have been all along. Edwards misses, Reed tipped it, and still Wolves not able to actually convert on the offensive glass. Jackson picked up by Reed, blows past him. Too easy. Reed's been awful. They're going to need to get something out of him in that series. And here's Edwards. What a shot! Going right at Jokic. Jokic reaches in. And Ant stabilizing things. So who do they call that foul on? Is that Jokic or do they call it on Caldwell Pope? Caldwell Pope was attempting to take credit for it. So Minnesota staves off the Denver run for the moment. KCB trying to get space here, and what are we going to get? A kickball on Alexander Walker. Alexander Walker pressuring Jackson. They bring Jokic off the screen. So this is Towns and Reed together now. Denver should be able to attack the rim. Jackson has to step back. Late clock. Big government, as Law Murray used to call it, because he bails you out at the end of the shot clock. They've got Jokic hiding out on Anderson right now. Ant attacking Holiday. Finds Reed as Porter Jr. kind of blew it on that one, but Reed can't hit the shot. But I understand why they're sticking with Reed here. They're going to need to get something out of him in this series, as bad as he's been. Jokic, good pressure by the Wolves here. Finally, Porter Jr. on the drive into Anderson, and Anderson comes down into him. I thought if he had stayed solid there, he might have been able to force the miss. Yeah, noteworthy that they're not trying to match Gobert's minutes to Jokic yet. They're kind of just doing their own normal rotation. But it's really been offense for the Wolves that's completely fallen apart. They almost get a 5-second. Another turnover. That's Alexander Walker again, but no one was open. Porter Jr., now Jokic against Towns. He's got plenty of space. You should just go here. Now Anderson gets into the play. So does Edwards. Caldwell Pope to his right. Pick and pop Jokic. Fires it over Towns. And that's cash. Denver, what a response by them. They trailed 18-4 in this game. And Minnesota has 3 points in the last 4:26. Yeah. Oh, were you talking before? Alexander Walker getting into the lane against Jackson. Jackson will push it up against him. Wants the screen from Jokic. They don't help off of him. He's going to take it from the Ball Arena logo and left it a little bit short. But Denver, huge comeback. They did it defensively, forcing turnovers in the backcourt with their pressure, which was not a storyline coming in. On StreamYard? Yeah, it should be.
Okay. Do you think if the Cavs lose Game 7, Donovan Mitchell is 100% requesting a trade? I think that's phrasing it incorrectly. The way that I expect this to play out is that Donovan Mitchell, and especially in that circumstance, all he's going to do is say, I can't commit to re-signing with the Cavaliers at this time. And and if that happens, it's going to be a circumstance similar to the silliness around Lillard and the Blazers, where it's like, he never requested a trade. However, he put the Cavs in a situation where trading him is the right decision. So I think it would be something like that. And I personally feel like the blame game there is useless because, and Mitchell he has agency in this. He can say whatever, as long as he's true to himself, he can do whatever he wants. But if they lose to the Magic, I do not expect Donovan Mitchell to play as a Cleveland Cavalier in the 24 or 25 season. I'll phrase it that way.
I think that Mitchell does have this kind of aspect to his personality, maybe a little similar to Dame, of like not wanting to be the bad guy and specifically request the trade. And you could even see, as particularly if he doesn't say that, of them trying to go to the trade deadline and see what's going on with their team next year.
That would be so much risk to take on. But you could say that at the deadline, another team would still be interested, and the asset cost.
Certainly, if he doesn't commit, you have to at least explore it at that point in time. But the thing is that especially a lot of the teams that might be trying to get him have 24 picks that you would want to get your hands on and make the selection with, if that's going to be part of the deal, like say the Lakers. And so if you wait, then they just, you end up with a situation where you're just getting whoever they picked.
Yeah, and that has happened. I mean, Jeremy Lamb in the James Harden deal is the one that I always think of, or I mean, Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji in the deals that the Jazz ended up doing with Mitchell and Gobert. It can happen, but it is much less desirable for I guess in this case, it would be the Cavaliers because you can make those pictures up.
Which team has the coaching advantage? What do you think?
I like both of them. We'll see. We'll build up the playoff sample with Finch. Michael Malone did a really nice job last year, though. So I think it's a wash. But if I had to pick one, I would say Malone.
I think so, and particularly when you consider just having been in these situations so many times with this group, knowing the advantage. I don't know if one is a better coach, but I think Malone coaching this group, they just have so much familiarity with one another. Gobert remains on the bench, and we have not seen Peyton Watson yet, interestingly. Into the post, Towns guarded by Murray. That should be a foul on Murray. It's not. Towns fights it up and doesn't score. I agree with Towns. He turned, and Murray just shoved him. Porter Jr. from way out. Left it short. Gobert, I think Gobert might have just gone to the locker room or something. He's headed back to the bench now. Yeah, the Wolves, since Anderson has come in, haven't really been able to score. There's another turnover, and
that is a good example. Yeah. That is a good example for me of a play that should be a transition take foul if you're not saying it's a shooting foul, but isn't under the current rule.
Okay, yeah, there it is. He's got to keep that right leg straight. He probably has a brace on, like under his pants. Gordon working on Towns, going to try to get Murray coming off the screen. Alexander Walker, as Anderson gets a hand on it. Now it's Conley guarding Murray. Murray likes this matchup. They get out of his way. Anderson's going to stay there to help. Here it comes. Murray finding Gordon has to go to the tough one-legger, and Towns did well to cover up that cut.
And that being so late clock, it basically had to be a jump shot for Aaron Gordon.
As Anderson travels, and these are just 4 atrocious Wolves turnovers, like before they're even attacking, getting anywhere close to the attacking zone. Yeah, we've seen the Wolves struggle with turnovers late in games, but the pressure is ramping up in this series. That is certainly something that Phoenix had absolutely zero ability to apply in the last round. Good denial by Alexander Walker on Porter Jr. Porter Jr. still trying to work. McDaniels is on Murray. McDaniels contests Murray as Towns retreated late. Here's Towns again going at Gordon and finishes. Beautiful finish going left, and that was very much on the borderline of a foul as well. Murray fakes it high up, and we're going to get a offensive basket interference there by Aaron Gordon.
That one I actually thought was pretty close.
I did too. Let's see.
Nope, it was over.
It wasn't in the end. Tied at 25. Denver's offense has not looked good here in the non-Jokic minutes. Anderson steps up, beautiful pass. He tries to dunk on Porter Jr., and I think it actually got blocked into the basket.
I believe it did as well. Jamal Murray bringing it up. Oh, of course, they go away from the time right as I'm about to do a time check. 9:49, 48, 47.
Oh, Murray obliterated McDaniels on the screen, and that's probably one they should have switched, honestly. That was a great screen by Jamal Murray, and Towns probably needs to step out there in that emergency situation. Anderson trying to slip through. They help on the backside, and we're going to get a loose ball foul on Murray on the ground.
Each team has only committed one foul during the first roughly 3 minutes of action here. And so the early fouls in the second and the fourth, not really coming home to roost yet.
Yeah, how many minutes can they get for Jokic? He'll probably be, 40 would probably be the most they want to go to here in a game one. Is there a way to lag playback? Well, number one, you could just use the VPN and get all of this on your screen, or you can go to YouTube as well, which has a pause button. And there's another stupid turnover, and that's going to lead to this by Brown for the dunk.
And this is bad offense. It's a feedback loop, but it's the bad offense that is leading to their defensive struggles.
5 atrocious turnovers since that early run, as now I think it's going to be, as Gordon is saying, he flopped. This is a beautiful bounce pass right behind Alexander Walker. But I think it's going to be on Murray there with the push.
I think they called that on Gordon, actually. Gordon has 2.
Edwards is returned. Anderson back to Edwards. Edwards working against Holiday. They don't bring KCP back in to guard him. Edwards will just shoot over him. And it's still loose, and the Nuggets get it. Minnesota has done nothing on the offensive glass that's been particularly effective yet, despite some chances. McDaniels stepping up on Murray. Rejects the screen. Knocked away from behind. McDaniels has incredibly long arms. Murray has it. Incredible pass. Porter Jr. with 8 on the clock in the air. And he's going to get fouled from behind. Anderson can't believe it.
I thought I saw Anderson's right arm get in there, but we'll probably get a replay here to see it for sure.
How does the VPN work with playback? You just set yourself up as being in a city where a country where NBA League Pass gives you playoff games, and then it'll work.
Michael Porter Jr. had a very difficult start to the game and has looked a little bit better in the more limited minutes. 13 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, and we'll see if he can make this which I believe is his 4th free throw.
Yeah, not someone, along with most of the Denver team, who spends much time at the foul line. So it is interesting that they've gone McDaniels on Porter Jr. most of the way, as Gobert is back in, as is, we noted, Edwards, and as is Nikola Jokic. Only a 3.5-minute rest for him. Edwards off the screen. Good screen by Gobert. Edwards engages Jokic, but no one moves to cut behind that double team. Edwards stays on the ball, though, goes right through KCP, and that's what I think he wishes he had back.
But nice work by KCP, just reacting back and preventing the matchup switch.
Good job by Edwards and Conley not giving up the switch. They get KCP on the roll here. That's a similar dynamic as, what a cut by Jokic. Towns comes over, and that's going to be a travel. Oh, what a play by Towns.
I thought a second that might have hit rim, but great reaction there from Towns to get low.
Yeah, this is a great job. Jokic, such a good cutter.
Oh, he fouled him with his left hand. But
did
still,
he?
I thought he did. Brought it out, made contact. And now we got Peyton Watson.
Yeah, so I was talking about the dynamic with the Lakers series was not switching Russell onto Murray in those double screening actions. That's what the Wolves are trying to do with Conley. The Nuggets have some practice with that. Of course, there's a nice cut by Towns, and he can't finish it, but excellent work by him. Gordon getting a rest, and Peyton Watson loses Towns and gives up the foul.
Karl-Anthony Towns is a big adjustment to play against, not only because of his shooting, but he's driving, as you mentioned, he's done a better job going left, and he's become an adept cutter. And all of those things are necessary for him to play next to a big, but Towns deserves a lot of credit for not fixing the biggest weakness in his game, but making himself a power forward because he can't be a center.
Yeah, I've liked Karl-Anthony Towns' attacks in this game. They haven't just been like giving him the ball against a set defense. I don't think that's really an advantage matchup for him against Gordon. Instead, he's been picking his spots, drawing guys away from the basket, and then cutting or with timely drives against closeouts. And that's where he can be really efficient. Not close on that free throw, however. And now it is McDaniels on Murray. They've got Edwards guarding Brown. Murray manipulates the defense, goes to the floater, left it long. Towns has he's going to get stolen here. Somehow he didn't. Wow. There was about 3 guys who were looking at that. Towns against Jokic. I thought he could have done better there. I thought that was a real settle from 19 feet. Now Jokic against Gobert. He's gotten decent looks against him so far. Backs in, wants to go left shoulder, but he can go right as well. There it is. And Nikola Jokic just moving Rudy Gobert. So much different than what took place between these two way back in the bubble, although Jokic was effective against Gobert last year. And Conley throws it away. He thought the ball got hit, and we will stay here.
And Christian Braun tried to kind of hustle around that screen and got sort of back into the play to change Conley's passing angle.
So anything else that's standing out to you here in this first, whatever it is, 16 minutes or so?
Jamal Murray's, to me, still struggling to get good shots. I mean, it's I don't know if this is the calf issue or if this is the Wolves defending him a lot better, but he's good. It's going to be, and I'm really interested in these McDaniels minutes because Jamal Murray really likes to have a strength advantage, but the strength advantage, McDaniels isn't the thickest guy in the world, but he's so long that I think it's going to take a little while for Murray to make heads or tails of him. Feel like Minnesota has gone away from taking Jokic to the outside and working the other matches. They have. That hasn't been as prominent as it was in the first 6 minutes of the game. Wolves half court offense, big concern. Yeah, especially in some of their limited lineups.
Yeah, I'm just catching up on some of the stats and whatnot here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that stands out to me is the Wolves' offense since they went on that nice run early. They're 0 of 5 from mid range, and then 4 of 9 at the rim. That's, again, a place you would think that they could do better. It hasn't been Peyton Watson. He hasn't played much. So Jokic has been effective with some of his tricks, and then some of these tips just haven't gone in for Minnesota.
What are the differences in the Jokic-Gobert matchup now versus 2020? Jokic has a more complete offensive game, which is genuinely terrifying. Like, he's good with both shoulders. Gobert, I think, does a better job out on the floor now than he did then. Like, he's shored up some of his weaknesses too. But Jokic being able to go both shoulders, being able to threaten, and I think he's doing a better job moving Gobert now than he did then, just as I'm recalling it.
I think it's that last part is what it is, and I don't think actually. I think Jokic, being a little bit younger, like he's moves Gobert a little bit more. Jokic has a right shoulder game, which he didn't really have as much back then. Like Jokic eventually found ways to be effective in that series, but it more was just using the jumper in the pick and pop game, and of course working off of Murray, who was unstoppable in most of that series against the Jazz, and certainly a big part of that was because he was working with Jokic and Gobert didn't want to leave his body. But I thought, although Jokic did hit the game winner against him in Game 7, that just the individual post-up attacks weren't as effective. I think Gobert is, I don't know if he's stronger or less strong now than he was, but he was more athletic, and I think he was just able to bother those shots more. But I'd say the bigger difference is Jokic than Gobert.
Agreed. Is Gobert Defensive Player of the Year this year? Yes. Nate and I both picked him as such.
It feels like Minnesota's gone away from taking Jokic to the outside. Yeah, I think that's right. I think they, and well, part of that I think is they've been dropping him off a little bit more too. Good pressure again by the Nuggets here. Towns goes into 3 guys. Good cut by Gobert, but then maybe not the right decision to go for the floater from that range. Jackson is back. Murray getting another break. Watson, Brown, Jackson, KCP. Jackson in the lane. Jokic loads up. Rims out. Here's Edwards. Picked up by Watson. Now that he goes after Jackson. Creates the space, and that's just an unbelievably easy look.
Whew. Time check, 5:54, 53, 52.
Jokic off the screen. He's now being guarded by Towns, gets into the pick and roll game. Here's Jackson, and there again is that theory of Gobert still being near the rim, even though Towns has to deal with Jokic. Back down KCP by Edwards. And KCP got him. What a strip.
Wow, I thought that was good. They almost always call that even if you got ball, but clean look.
Yeah, it was KCP. A wild one, and then they don't pick up Jokic. That's atrocious transition defense. And you know what happened there is everyone was bitching about the Edwards play, which, hey, might have been a foul. But complaining about that's not going to help you in the game.
I would have liked Towns to just keep that.
Conley tried to draw the foul from behind, goes up for the rebound, but Watson out-jumped him. Watson on the push, and that'll be a foul on Conley. Sync this with my league pass to watch. I'm not sure. It's been a while, actually. Here, if you're in the U.S., it doesn't work. Yeah, probably. It's not going to work unless you use a VPN. But if you log in, you can also type /help. There, thank you. Appreciate playback user NC on that one. Reed is in now. He's guarding Jokic, and he is moving Reed easily. Jokic thought he got fouled. I tend to agree with him. Really been a defensive struggle for both teams here. Here's Edwards. Yeah, you see Jokic is backing off more defensively. And there's another turnover by Reed. Braun going to try Edwards into 3 guys. Not a wise decision, but Nuggets are lucky to have Jackson recover. Reed trying to prevent Jokic from getting the ball. He just throws him out of the way. Here's Jokic kicking out Caldwell Pope. Gobert had him, and that was preternatural by Jokic to feel Gobert coming and kick it out to Caldwell Pope, but couldn't make the shot. Now it's Edwards, almost traveled, lost the ball. They kick it out. Reed fires his set shot 3. Another miss. Didn't quite have it set. There's the front and the post. Gobert reacts. Watson, stopped by Gobert. What a play by Gobert to take Jokic on that lob and stop the pass to Watson. Here's Edwards pulling up right elbow. That's a good shot for him.
Yeah, No, that is really their best offense is a screening action. You get Anthony Edwards on a pull-up. Also less likely to have a turnover if you don't pass the ball.
Precisely. Like you're wide open. In this series, you just take the first open shot that's available. Even if it's a quote-unquote bad mid-range jumper. There's the, oh, wow. Yeah. Gobert got him with the Cornet contest. Now Ant off the screen again. Reed is open. Makes the right pass. Alexander Walker. But I think Alexander Walker was getting ready to hit the glass. And the pass is a little bit behind him. That's a tough angle when it hits you in the hip right that. Now Jokic guarded by Gobert in the post again. Reed is lurking. Oh, and Reed was just standing under the basket. Just not enough activity. And Gobert's looking at him like, hey, buddy, what are you doing, man? Like, you didn't need to come that early. Edwards looking a little tired. Reed going to try the drive on Peyton Watson, and Watson reached in. I didn't see a ton there, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like there was going to be a foul somewhere on that, but it could have been an offensive foul earlier. I actually liked the KCP dig, even if it didn't bear any fruit. And it's early, but there is, I mean, Naz Reid's limitations have been an important part of this, and I'm putting it in my notes right now from this one, just kind of as a creator and everything else.
Yeah, so the Wolves, 2 of 11 from three-point range. Nuggets are 5 of 14. Porter Jr. is 2 of 3. And Edwards has made their only 2 threes. Nobody else has made a 3. Towns has only taken 1, which is interesting. I think I would be trying to maybe run a few more plays for him to get a 3.
Yeah, well, one of the plays I really didn't like was I believe Towns threw a kind of a scramble action, got Christian Brown on him, and then just moved the ball immediately. Just try something there. You're going to draw a helper. Something from the Nuggets.
Yeah, neither the Wolves really haven't been able to get much in transition. They have 8 turnovers, and 7 of those have been steals.
Oof.
And I mean, and these turnovers are like, never even got the ball inside the 3-point line type of plays.
And by the way, the Nuggets have 5 turnovers. 0 of those are live ball. That's a pretty huge disparity in terms of, like, not all turnovers are created equal.
And neither team is doing anything on the offensive glass either. Wolves 15%, Denver 9%. But the second chance points have basically, I don't think either team has a second chance point right now.
It was definitely 0 in the first half. Well, I don't have second half stats, but I believe you're right. I don't recall any.
Or for first quarter, for second quarter, yeah. Nuggets are missing the athleticism of Bruce Brown. I would say particularly the transition impetus that he provided for their second unit.
It's a great point. He provided something that they didn't really replace. I don't know that I fully appreciated it at the time, but it helped. And I mean, this game, it hasn't mattered as much because Minnesota's offense has been so bad in some of the shorthanded lineups that they haven't needed it, but it's an opportunity that they're not getting. Are offensive rebounds viewed as a bonus or is there a baseline you should hit? It totally depends on the team in the system. I do believe that the framing of it as a choice between offensive rebounding and transition defense is unfair. We've seen too many teams over the years successfully do portions of both to say that. But it is more context dependent. And it's not only the context of what players do you have on the floor, it's where are your shots coming from. So the expectation for the Knicks in the Knicks Pacers series will be very different from the expectation for the Pacers in Knicks Pacers.
Yeah, so of course we will be doing this. I am starting to feel a little bit of a sore throat, but hopefully I will be able to pull through. But we should be doing this tomorrow for Game 7, our only Game 7 of the first round. Average offensive rebound percentage, mid-20s. There's Ant with an immediate three-pointer. We don't see how it happened because TNT is terrible at production. Actually, it's really probably more about the fact that they run commercials up until the absolute very last moment. Good pressure by Towns against Jokic. And there's a steal. Edwards getting run down from behind and lays it in.
And that's another play where KCP reached on Edwards and doesn't get a call. He's going to boil over at some point.
Good job by Edwards getting back to KCP. Now Jokic. Towns trying to pressure him. You can see where Gobert is relative to Gordon, just hanging out in the lane. Jokic has to take that three, and Gordon is going to knock it out of bounds. So what they've been trying to do to prevent Gobert from hanging out in the lane is having Gordon screen off the ball for Murray, but that was completely blown up by the topsiding. Now it's Towns' first post-up attack against Gordon. Tries to turn, doesn't move him. This is Gobert. Gobert pivoting. Underneath, great pass. McDaniels fires. No, off the rim. Gobert trying to get back in front of Jokic. Nobody ever does. Jokic goes right in. What a decel there by Jokic.
That was incredible. I mean, I don't know that I've seen him go from 15 to 0 that quickly.
That was the Xavier Simpson move. We just came to a complete stop on 1 foot. Now they're forcing Edwards towards the sideline. Gobert back out to Towns. Yes, that's the right pass. Excellent work.
Right pass and the shot that Towns is going to have at portions of the series.
Tied at 42 for 1 opportunity for the Nuggets. This is Alexander Walker trying to ramp up the pressure on Murray. Murray snaking it back to Jokic, and he scores. Was that an alley-oop? Sorry, my screen froze for a second there.
That was a pass.
Yeah, setting those screens out high lets Jokic come downhill, and then Gobert has to make a decision. Alexander Walker, well, short. I think we stay here. No,
that didn't get touched. That was just an air ball.
Yeah, so they help on Gobert, and then that's the right pass. Someone probably needed to rotate back to Towns faster than that because they had Gobert stopped at the foul line. Down to 6. Here's Murray off the screen. Jokic sets it. Murray to Jokic, and he hits the floater. So setting that screen out high gets him a couple of buckets right at the end. They get the 2 for 1. 4 quick points. Towns gets it off. Ooh. It would count, but it did not go in. And so that'll be a very interesting first half. We'll be back to talk about it right before the start of the second. And looking like this one's going to go down to the wire, as it so often does with the Denver Nuggets. All right, we are back here to talk about the second half, and it kind of escaped us as it was happening, but Jamal Murray failed to score in the
Yes.
first half.
Yeah, I believe he ended up 0 for 5 from the field. Did I miss a miss? No, 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. And I thought, generally speaking, the Wolves played really good defense on him. He was not getting around the basket, doesn't have some of the strength advantage matchups. Well, I mean, he does in certain ones, but yeah, I thought the Wolves defended him well, and he's still dealing with a calf issue. We don't know exactly what calf issue that is, but something.
And he did have 2 assists right at the end of the half. Conley going to get the screen here again. They want to try to see if they could get Towns open. Good job by Murray switching out on him, but then he lost connection. That was terrible by Murray. He was looking for someone to come and kick him out of there, but he was right there and he just stopped paying attention and let Carl Johns shoot over him. Towns has hit a couple of 3-pointers here. Here's the alley-oop. That they had set that up, that 4-5 pick and roll that probably just needs to be an auto switch. Towns, that's probably on him. He doesn't get inside position on the switch against Gordon. But Gobert has to call that out. Now Jokic throwing it ahead. Porter Jr., late close, didn't matter. Another turnover.
A really good deflection there by Jokic on a kind of a low upside pass to Rudy Gobert, and Minnesota has to deal with that kind of rough start. 10:54, 53, 52 remaining YouTubers.
Towns against Murray again. Same play they just ran. Towns floats up a difficult shot going to his left. It is again Edwards on Murray. He set the tone on him defensively early, although Alexander Walker and McDaniel saw plenty of time as well. Conley with good pressure. They're late getting into their offense here. Gordon stepping out. He'll try Gobert. Not an advantage matchup at all. Gobert is all over him. They're going to have to create late in the clock here. It's Murray. Barely gets it off, and he hits it. His first field goal.
And we'll see if that looks more weird shot, gets him more into a rhythm, but it's 3 free points for the Denver Nuggets.
Conley now in pick and roll. They're switching everything. They're no problem putting a perimeter guy onto Towns, and that's what they're looking to establish an attack. And Towns has 7 points here, all of them going at these guards who are switching onto him in that double screening action. Oh, and then Jokic beat Towns easily.
And I think Towns is trying to complain like Jokic's arm was high. He beat him on the cut anyway.
Conley rejects the screen, floats it up, and that will count for Mike Conley. Yeah, Towns, he's so worried about the hand fighting that he doesn't actually get his body between the man and the rim, and that is a close continuation, I would say, in favor of Mike Conley.
Conley's game so far. Actually, my box score isn't updated. I should refresh that.
Yeah, those are his first 2 points.
Yeah, those are his first. No, but it had that he had 0 points, and I'm like, that's not right. 6 assists though for Conley. 6 assists, 2 turnovers in the early going.
So they're trying to get Gordon with the ball and get Gobert away from the hoop to run some of these screening actions. And Gobert shut that one down pretty nicely. But that's a way, and we'll see whether Gobert is going to just adjust by backing off a little bit more. But when Gordon has the ball, in theory, Gobert has to pay attention to him, and then you can get some other stuff elsewhere, like that Jokic cut last possession. Towns does step out that time. Porter Jr. going to get it right back. Oh, Edwards was all over it. And now Towns is ahead. He'll go in and dunk it. And 1 on 2 Nuggets.
And great hustle there by Edwards and Towns. And another one of these low utility fouls that becomes an and one. Like, there was nothing they were going to do to Towns there.
Yeah,
they actually barely touched him at all.
I mean, yeah, maybe they didn't. Murray's even asking for a review, but
You're
probably not worth it. Murray not facing any particular foul trouble.
Well, I think that might be his third.
Oh, but Towns misses that one.
That might be his second. I need to keep an eye on it.
Gobert communicating to get Edwards onto Porter Jr. Good job by Conley getting through that screen. It's getting really physical out there. Jokic on the attack, goes into Towns. Gobert lurking, and oh, that's a foul in favor of Gordon. Who pushed him? Was that Gobert?
I believe that was Gobert, yes. And so that is Gobert's second.
And you see where that 9-7 standing reach of Rudy Gobert can get to on that floater by Jokic, because he left it way short. I can't remember the last time he missed a shot that short, and it wasn't the primary defender Towns, it was Gobert lurking. But Gordon cleans up the offensive board.
Jamal Murray does have 3 fouls so far, so we'll of course keep an eye on that. The only other player with 3 is Kyle Anderson, who that foul trouble shouldn't matter as much. And Aaron Gordon makes the first free throw. We'll see if he can hit the second.
Yeah, I thought a big storyline in the first half was the struggles of Anderson and Naz Reid, and what is Chris Finch, who is coaching the game, but is he's got Mike and Nori doing the on-court communication for him. What is Chris Finch going to choose to do about that? Conley on the push. McDaniels has been very quiet offensively. They're trying to topside Edwards. Now they topside McDaniels. Edwards clearing out space now. Gets it to Gobert. Gobert should have got off the ball faster. Now it's Towns. Oh, what a sick move by Towns coming downhill.
And he created space by moving to the side. It was kind of like that they didn't call that. Oh, they did. Yeah,
they did. Finally, Jokic gets hit for that off arm where he has been quite active.
And especially that's a weird angle for that Towns play, but the footwork on that was awesome. And
yeah, you see the off arm. Yep.
Jokic, there's no craft to that. That's just him trying to push his way to a spot. That's an offensive foul.
Towns goes away. Now they want him to go one-on-one against Gordon. Towns getting right by him, but Gordon stripped him. Gobert can't get it. It's transition for the Nuggets. Murray with Conley back. Gets to his spot, setting up KCP wide open in the corner.
Couple of big corner threes for Denver in the early part of this third quarter. I believe those are their first 2 made corner threes of the game.
Well, and the big thing is going to be turnovers and points off turnovers if Denver wins this game. Now they want to get Ant guarded by Murray. They give up that switch. Now they get the double team. They don't. That's interesting that they don't want to switch Porter Jr. onto Ant. And Conley hits the 3 coming right back to cut it to 1. But that's very interesting to me that's the one matchup that Denver seems afraid of.
Conley 0 points in the first half and now 6 in the first few minutes of the third quarter.
Towns has continued to try to pressure Jokic, and after Towns got the call last time, you could tell Jokic was looking to pick one up that time himself.
I'm not sure the Wolves have missed a shot from the field in this quarter. They've had turnovers, but I don't think they've had any missed shots. I can't remember any.
Screen for Jokic to get Towns off him. He meets him on the other side. Gobert coming over. Conley trying to drop down, and there's 2 fouls on 1 possession against Karl-Anthony Towns, and that one was a cheapo.
I, for one, am stunned by this development.
Yeah, I mean, that's the right call, though. He tries to, once he turns to make that face-up attack, if you try to shoulder check him, that's not great. And so that's 3 now on Towns. Porter Jr. against Ant. Can't get it. Edwards hasn't done much yet this quarter. He's going to try Gordon here. Gobert trying to post up on KCP. Ant doesn't look that way. Steps back. I thought he could have done more on that possession.
The Edwards-Gordon matchup is one that I was very, very excited to see before the series started.
Murray on the blow-by. Gobert picks him up. And you know what that reminds me of? That he had a play just like that against him in the bubble 4 years ago. What a move. Ant had Gobert rolling. They're helping off the weak side corner. And there's another turnover. The reliable guy. And that should be a transition take foul.
And if that's not a transition take foul, they obviously need to change the rule. That's all Mike Conley was trying to do there.
Incredible finish there by Murray. I'm going to see if I can find that Murray spinning finish. I'll put it in the comments.
Yeah, the one that was a kind of a 360, I believe a lefty layup in the bubble. Also, the bubble being 4 years ago made me feel incredibly old.
Yeah, here it is. Let's see, was that right? Oh, yeah. Which one of these is better?
The bubble one, but they're both great.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a take foul and a clear path foul? Well, so in my intention, a transition take foul would replace the clear path foul, which the league has not done. Clear path relates to the positioning of multiple players on the floor. That's why it's kind of it's in more ways like it's a foul, but the idea of kind of like offsides in soccer, where it's about the positioning of the offensive player relative to defensive players when the foul occurs. Whereas transition take foul is you're not making a play on the ball, which is my disagreement with the rule, and you're intentionally trying to stop a fast break. These playoffs have been a lot more physical than I remember. I think you mentioned on the later pods, you reckon this will be a trend. It is a continuation and, or I would argue, an extension of something that we saw during the regular season, which was that certain forms of contact that were called defensive fouls are not being called defensive fouls right now. And a lot of those are unnatural offensive motions, but they're also letting a lot go around the basket. And broadly speaking, NBA basketball has that as a through line where they let a lot more contact go in the playoffs than they do in the regular season. But yeah, it's been true. I don't think it's been. I wouldn't say, to me it's been significantly more than my recollection in recent playoffs. Like maybe a little bit more.
Hasn't Europe figured out the take foul rules? How come the NBA has not adopted those rules? The reason I would say is that there's a reluctance to allow the referee to make a judgment call. They feel like they have to have this standard of like that's specific, right? Like, so basically, it's only a transition take foul if you straight up like give up on the play afterwards and like you're not even ostensibly trying to make some sort of a play on the ball or getting back or whatever. And so in Europe, they're just like you're allowed to just say, "Well, do I think that you did this intentionally to stop the fast break?" Okay. And yeah, you know what? You do see a few on occasion where you're like, "Yeah, was he really doing that? Isn't that a little harsh?" But I would much rather that than the opposite.
Especially when the primary goal of those calls is to curb the behavior. It's not to punish, it's to curb the behavior. And so if you make it more of an intent call, then the players won't do things where it seems like they were intentionally committing the foul for that purpose. Oh, only until the new TV deal. Oh, is Towns going to the locker room?
Is when he would
It's
normally
just
sub
when he
out.
come out, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm not freaked out about it, but on
Yeah.
alert.
No, I mean, people have reasons to go to the locker room all the time. Yeah, I didn't see any injury or anything.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, so Murray got going on that crazy fadeaway late in the clock, and then he had that layup as well. Let's see what they've got here. They've got Reed on Jokic, and I would go right to this. I think he's got much more of an advantage on Reed. Straight double here by Gobert, and he fouls him. Not good there at all. The whole point of the double team is to force somebody else to beat you. They forced Jokic to the baseline. Gobert saying he went up through my arm, but got to keep the hands back there.
And I thought when the double came, there was also a pass to Gordon, which Jokic would usually make, but this is a better outcome, especially because it gets a foul on an important player. And that's Gobert's third. He has 3, Towns has 3, Kyle Anderson has 3, and Jamal Murray.
So the calls here, that's Jokic now. He's drawn 3 fouls in the last couple of minutes. Jokic late getting up there. Conley engages him, pulls the three at the mesh point. That's all because Jokic was too slow executing the coverage. He was hanging out in the lane, didn't react fast enough. If you're going to play that coverage, he has to stay attached to Gobert when Gobert gets into the screening action. Reed trying to front Jokic, and there goes Gobert to knock it away. Great defense off the ball. Oh, they had Ant for the alley-oop. Instead, Reed will poke it in transition.
It's the advantage of a 4-on-2. You can miss one pass and get another one. Great hustle there by Naz Reid and the Wolves.
And now they've gone to McDaniels on Murray for the first time to see if they can shut off the water there. They'll switch this, interestingly, and Murray just gets wide open. I
don't think that was an auto switch. I think it was that McDaniels got hung on the screen.
Yeah, I think he was complaining that Jokic held him. Here's the screen for Ant going downhill against Jokic. They try to swing it weak side. Here's Conley on the drive. Into the lane, lays it in. Mike Conley has been more aggressive attacking. It's led to some turnovers, but he also is someone I think can get to the basket when the Nuggets, they don't have a lot of conventional rim protection.
That was also a very tentative closeout contest from Jamal Murray.
This time, McDaniel stays attached to Murray, but he can't get a hand up. And Reed barely has it go out of his hands, and Conley gets it knocked away by those great hands of Nikola Jokic.
See, the other way you can not get called for a transition shake foul is if you actually hit the ball out of his hands.
Yeah, Mike Conley has been finding the range here as we're going to get a timeout. But he hit that three when Jokic was late getting up. Had another assist in transition off the rebound, and then was able to drive for another two, and now they've tied it.
Couple of stat curiosities for me. This has been an extremely low offensive rebounding game so far. Both teams under 13.5%. If we're going on individually credited offensive rebounds, we're looking at 2 for the Nuggets and 4 for the Wolves, 3 of which are Jaden McDaniels. And then a relatively low free throw game. I mean, I guess Denver's 12 in 2.5 quarters is about there, but Minnesota only 7 so far. Towns, I believe, has 2 and 1s, and then he has 2, and then Edwards got fouled once, and Conley got fouled once.
Yeah, this will be an interesting tactic here. It seems like they're trying to have Reed front Jokic, although he's so active off the ball and they run so many screening actions for him, it's hard to do that. And then the idea is make him lob it in to Jokic against Reed, and Gobert can come over, and they'll try to get that length of both of their big men on Jokic and try to cut down his passing angles. We'll see how long it takes him to dissect that. I don't think it's going to take him long. But got to go. Yeah, a lot of different approaches.
On a totally unrelated note, got a question about Round Ball Rock, and from what I've seen, I love the song, but John Tesh owns it and NBC does not, and so he said that he would sell it, like that he would let NBC use it. Assuming they pay him, license it, pay him the cash money. But theoretically, other entities can too. So theoretically, Amazon could license it or somebody else. Like it is associated with NBC, but there is no. Tesh owns the rights to it, so we could hear it in other places. I mean, that's part of how it ended up still being a part of the Olympics.
Yeah, it's on Fox, too.
It's on Fox, too. I think it's in, like, their Big East basketball or something like that. Yeah, so it is a 24-20 start to the third quarter in favor of the Wolves. I mean, Conley getting going offensively has been an important development here. Anything that's really standing out to you as different than the first 2 quarters?
Yeah, well, I think, a lot of it is centered around Towns. They really tried to get him going. Of course, Murray as well has started to get to better looks. And Ant hasn't really done much in the half court here. He had 25 in the first half, of course.
Minnesota still only missed 1 shot from the field. That's in the third quarter. That's pretty ridiculous.
So isn't marginal contact a judgment call? I mean, you can't referee if you're going to call every time someone touches someone as a foul. Like you have to have some judgment involved there. It's supposed to be whether it disrupts the player's balance,
Yeah.
rhythm, etc. as they're making their
The
move or attempting their shot.
the NBA's objective is not to eliminate referee judgment, it is to minimize it. And so
Yeah.
there are certain components where you can't minimize it, so it exists.
Yeah, but even on technical fouls, they have another of these things that are just like automatic triggers. Like if you see it, you call it. Anderson is in. They struggled in these minutes in the first half, and Reed steps on the sideline. He has just not been ready for this stage. Good pressure here from Alexander Walker. Jackson actually pressured him up in the first half for a turnover. Jokic back to goal. Gobert looking to come over. Jokic clears out space, gets Holiday wide open, and that's a big shot for Justin Holiday because he is going to be left open as Murray is going to get a break here. Edwards back to goal against Holiday. He's got the size advantage, crashing into him. Double team comes from Porter Jr. Didn't have an incisive pass available because Anderson is not being guarded. There's Ant, left it short. Gobert got a quick hand on it. Good pass, but Anderson again just not able to do anything. I think we're going to get a foul here, though.
I think that's on Reggie Jackson. They just showed him. It seems right, and Jackson not in foul trouble.
Yeah, both teams have picked up their shooting at the rim, an identical 9 of 14.
And Denver is in the bonus here. Minnesota's committed 5 fouls.
So this is our first look at Monte Morris, and this is now Reed at center, no Town. So it's Reed and Anderson. Don't love this against Jokic, as Edwards, though, able to get to his spot. Good screen there on the weak side. Jackson switched on to by Morris. This is the ex-Nuggets' first action of the game. They must double team here. That's what they go to. Good rotation by Alexander Walker. And then it's knocked away. Reed made the play. They got a 3-on-2. And we're going to get a blocking foul on KCP getting in front of Naz Reid. Again, that's not a transition take foul. It should be.
And Jackson is arguing that Reed just ran into him, but it did seem like he deliberately got in Reed's way. Either
I think
way,
he was trying to draw a foul, yeah, but if you're just running in a straight line, they're not going to give you that call anymore, thankfully. Edwards wants to get to his spot, gets a good look.
Getting a couple of good Anthony Edwards jumpers here. This is providing some cover for Minnesota in these minutes that we thought would be really troublesome.
Yeah, that was a big turnover they forced. Backdoor. Jackson, corner Holiday, his second open three. Missed that one. Edwards can push it up here. He'll go at Caldwell Pope. Step back. Caldwell Pope is on it. Good pass fake, Alexander Walker, and he knocks that 3 down.
Even though it ended up becoming an Alexander Walker 3, I also really like that improvised give and go there. What looked like it was going to be one with Edwards. If they're kind of overplaying you, then just get it back.
Oh, I didn't agree with that call.
And that's going to be free throws too.
It is, yeah. Maybe he hits the head, but that's just... The Wolves are trying to pressure. I mean, this is a big thing, too. They're trying to wear down Jokic every time. I mean, that's not something the Lakers were ever going to do with the combination of Hachimura or Davis.
And you could see on that, Reggie Jackson saw the give and go. He moved off of Walker, basically saying, I want to make this pass harder than the shot. And Alexander Walker takes it. A really good decision by Alexander Walker, even if he's not always the most consistent shooter.
Porter Jr., ostensibly a good free throw shooter, misses that one. And that baseline angle did show maybe that there was more of a foul on Anderson. I thought they could. And I guess he does lose the ball, too, so you couldn't really have gone to a no call there. By the way, Chris Finch is the one who is making these lineup decisions. Nori is just the one who's yelling stuff to the team. But Chris Finch is actually coaching this game. Anderson at the elbow, guarded by Jokic. Edwards downhill. You see Holiday coming over there. Morris closed down by the man who replaced him in Denver, Jackson. Here's Ant for 3. Jokic is met in the backcourt. That leaves Brown open, and he missed it.
And
Rebounded by Anderson.
Michael Porter Jr. stopped running. He would have gotten a dunk there if he actually tried.
Edwards, guarded by Jackson in transition. Jackson tries to force him baseline. Good defense by Jackson with that 7'1" wingspan. But Edwards blows by him, and Jokic was late that time. And it looks like Edwards been teed up. What did he do? Now, I mean, the referee, he did say something to him. He certainly could have called him something. But certainly, when you can't see it at home as being obvious, you probably shouldn't call it.
Yeah, I mean, is it possible that something was done there that was what was sufficiently untoward? Yes. Do I expect it to happen? Hell no.
Here's Jokic backing down on Reed. They don't double team, and Jokic goes right through him.
Double pirouette there.
Yeah, I don't understand why they wouldn't double team there, particularly without Murray on the floor. You got Brown, Holiday, like guys that you want to force to make shots. It was just odd to not double. Pocket pass, Anderson with Jokic getting back in front of him. Oh, they completely miscommunicate, and Morris can't make him pay. Porter Jr., now it's Jokic. Picked up at half. He tries to cut, and Jackson didn't see him. He still has Anderson in the post. They better double team here, but not off of that guy. Got lucky there. A couple of defensive mistakes leading to missed open threes, and they do not really get the 2-for-1 there. Yeah, Reed is being guarded by Holiday right now. I think that's something they should try to explore some. Ant is double teamed, and that'll be a kick ball, so Minnesota will surely get the last shot now. Towns is going to come in. Watson will replace Porter for defense. Gordon is in for defense as well. They go to an all-defensive group here. They get it into Edwards. He's going to attack downhill against Brown. Double team comes. Fade away. And Watson really bothered him there. If I'm Edwards, I just want to shoot a step-back three over Christian Braun there. Because you're always going to be able to get it off against the smaller guy. I think that's what you want rather than getting into traffic when you don't have that much spacing.
33-27 third quarter in favor of Minnesota. Some of those Edwards shots I think could end up looming large overall in this one. Ant during that third quarter. Oh, I pulled up the wrong shot chart. Edwards 2 of 3 from mid-range, but then 0 for 2 on threes and 1 for 2 in the paint. But some of those mid-rangers, I don't know why those are the ones that are sticking with me overall so far. But now we're going to get the non-Jokic minutes, however many of those there are.
Yeah, and Jokic only got 3.5 minutes of rest in the first. When's the next game in this series? It's on Monday, right? And then they got a big break.
Monday, then a big break.
Yeah. So maybe there's just a feeling that they're going to go hard in both of these games, but I'm very curious to see how long he's going to be out. And they've made it pretty rough on Jokic so far. 22 points, 7 of 17 from the field, 7 assists, 5 turnovers.
Do you think that a 1 p.m. Eastern playoff game has an effect on the players given a change to their routine? Yes, absolutely. I think that it does, but they're professionals. They have had time off, and it's definitely, but yeah, it's an adjustment. I mean, players have talked about it, that even the difference between regular season games and like finals games, because sometimes finals games have unusual start times, that messes with their schedule too. So something this dramatic, sure, you do play 1 Eastern games in the regular season at times, but especially for game 7, it's bizarre. It does seem somebody brought up the note that ABC is airing a Formula One race. It probably does seem like it's television related because they usually avoid Sunday mornings, like early mornings.
And if there were going to be a Game 7 in the other series, it was supposed to be later as well.
Yes.
But don't worry, I'm sure these two offensive juggernauts will have no problem adjusting.
Biggest thing to watch for in the fourth, Karl-Anthony Towns' role within Minnesota's offense. I mean, they did such a good job in the early part of the third quarter using screening to get him mismatches and attacking those. And does Michael Malone change his coverage? I think that he might.
Yeah, Edwards and Jokic both went the entire way in the third. Edwards did look fatigued down the stretch of the second. Yeah, your lineups for Denver: Murray at point guard with Holiday and Brown, Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon up front. So they're going Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, not Gordon and Peyton Watson together. Alexander Walker has Murray. Towns is in. No Gobert still. And they get a wide open three by Porter Jr., but can't knock it down. They've dodged a couple of Porter Jr. bullets here. Trying to screen for Conley off the ball, guarded by Brown, who can provide good pressure against him. Gordon trying to front Towns. They get it to him. Double team going to come from the top. Do they rotate? Instead, Towns can't move Gordon on the turn. That's what I always say. Watch how if the defensive player goes back when he does that turn, and that'll tell you when the shot's going in or not. Alexander Walker hounding Murray, but a foul, and I think we're going to get Alexander Walker from behind.
Yes, this is on Alexander Walker, not on Towns. It would have been Towns' fourth, but it is not.
And
that's a good call.
I think he probably contacts the ball there first, and that's what his concern was, but nobody saw that. They saw that he hit his arm afterwards. So Murray opening the scoring here.
Jamal Murray
at 73.
Scoreless in the first quarter, or in the first half, then 8 points in the third quarter, 3 of 9 from the field, 1 of 3 from long range, and then now he's getting these free throws.
Yeah, this series has been everything that we've hoped so far. This game, I should say. Both teams have shown their colors here in Game 1. So I think they're going to try to get Conley going off the ball here and then run some screening. Actually, they go after Porter Jr. They're willing to switch that. Now they get into what they really wanted, which is Porter Jr. in the screening action, and then into the post, it's Reed. Bludgeons his way in. Gordon came over too late. That was a really nice setup there with a bunch of screening actions, misdirection before they went to Reed in the post, guarded by Holiday. And they got that initial switch solely for that reason. Here's Murray. Alexander Walker is there. Murray lost it. Conley gets the deflection, 9 to shoot.
And Karl-Anthony Towns did a good job there scrambling back to get into the interior because it looked like Aaron Gordon might get an opportunity.
Yeah, beautiful lefty hook there from Reed. Beating the contest of Gordon coming over. They may want to double team there and see. I don't know if Reed is that great of a passer out of those situations, and they have little shooting on the floor. Here's Murray. Floats it, but Alexander Walker, we see on those guys' floaters, if they're a little worried about the guy behind him, they have to rush it, they'll miss. Reed trying to slip out of it. Here's Towns. He's picked up by Holiday. He's got a massive weight advantage.
Yeah, just give it back to Towns.
Yeah, Towns got off the ball there. Now he'll try again. Bludgeons his way in. Kicks to the corner. They tried to set a flare screen. Here's McDaniels. He's blocked from behind. Held up by Holiday. Blocked by Porter Jr. Transition here. Conley cutting off Gordon nicely, but he'll back him in. McDaniels lurking to help, trying to duck in again. Reed now comes over from the baseline, and we're going to get a hold on Conley. I think this should be before the shot.
I agree. And this is the second team foul on Minnesota. No team fouls yet on Denver in the quarter.
Let's see this here. Yeah, so Conley wraps the right arm around Gordon as he begins his move. So this is no Gobert, no Ant, no Jokic. Alexander Walker on Murray. Knocked it away, but Murray recovers. Reed on the fake. Plows through Murray. That was a foul on Murray, too.
It was. And it was, I mean, bumped him twice, but Reed gets the shot anyway.
Yeah, I didn't see much off arm there. I thought Reed went up with both hands on the ball. Here's Porter Jr. into Towns. Good job by Towns picking him up. Nice pass, Gordon. And he scores with an ineffectual fourth foul from Towns.
They called that on Alexander Walker. Wait, did
Okay.
they? No, they called that on Towns. I was
Yeah,
looking.
surely.
Sorry, my box score is two things ahead. Sorry. That's why I try not to look at the live box score too often because we're a little bit behind. And so the non-Jokic minutes, though, as you mentioned, they've been some of the Timberwolves principles as well. I would say those have generally gone better for the Nuggets than the Timberwolves would have liked. But if you're having Gobert and Ant off the floor at the same time, holding it even isn't the worst thing for them.
Tied at 77. They've got Towns guarded by Braun. They should throw it to him. See, Ant's not looking that way. He wants to go at Holiday instead. I don't think that was the right call. He goes at Holiday into traffic. Reed eluding Gordon. That's the right pass. Conley, quick release. Knocks it down. Much better now from Naz Reid in this fourth quarter. Oh, miscommunication. And Towns commits a fifth foul, all because they just didn't talk that out well enough. Towns stayed with him. I thought the guard, I think it was McDaniels, could have gone there. Yeah, but you see McDaniels is ready to go back. They don't go that route. Then Towns, he thinks that McDaniels has him. Then he's late to recover, and that's why he fouls him.
And that's probably landing area as well. They're not looking at it. Jamal Murray had a weird, his legs on that were a little bit bizarre, but I think that was landing zone as well.
I mean, maybe he was so late on the contest that Murray had already landed. Four-point play after the Conley three puts Denver back in front. Jokic is back. Gobert is back. Edwards has already returned. Conley picks up his dribble. They want to go weak side. Porter Jr. denying on Edwards. This is Reed, and throw the ball to Anthony Edwards, guarded by Michael Porter Jr., instead of trying to take their best defender, Gordon, one-on-one. Now Murray has the matchup. Goes to the fadeaway. Great contest by Conley. Conley was another player, of course, who is in that legendary playoff series in the bubble between Utah and Denver, although he missed time due to the birth of his child. Edwards getting Braun on his back, goes into the Gortat screen of Gobert and finishes at the rim. Minnesota is back up. And what do we have here? Travel. Woo!
I want to see this one again. They were kind of focusing on a different part of the action.
Yeah, and that's been the strategy of Reed, Karl Anthony Towns. Anytime Jokic wants to bring the ball up, they're going to make him actually work. They're not going because I'm sure they have the data as Braun just stuffs that pass. I'm sure they have the data that shows that anytime Jokic dribbles the ball up court, they are completely ridiculous. There's Edwards eluding Gordon with the sick left to right crossover. Now that guy is allowed to go at their best defender.
Hell yeah.
They don't give up the switch here. They don't look for Brown on the roll. McDaniels on Murray. Almost a steal. Jokic going to go into Reed here. Stepping back for three. That's the shot he's hit so many times. And the ball goes out of bounds. Let's see this crossover again. Woo!
Oof,
Yeah,
nasty.
the thing that makes it so nasty is when he goes between the legs, he doesn't take another dribble. He goes right back again. That's the thing. Like a lot of guys, they go between the legs, then you got to dribble again to kind of set and then do your next move. Whereas he goes between the legs and then he's like right back left to right. That was sick.
Will the altitude affect Minnesota in the fourth quarter? Yes, it will. I mean, there's an adjustment here. These teams have played each other a lot, but Minnesota doesn't play at altitude like Denver. I don't think it's enough to like swing the outcome, but it is an adjustment. And the minute total so far, so we're about 7 minutes from the end of this. Edwards 35, McDaniels 32, no other Wolf is above 28. Then Porter Jr. 36, Jokic 34, KCP 30. Those are the big ones. How long would you have Towns on the bench here?
I think it kind of depends on how things are going. I think so. They brought Reed back in, right? So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I think as long as he's playing well, you don't feel that much urgency. If things start to go poorly, then you bring him back in earlier. But I think I could wait even as long as it's going okay. I think even to 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
And frankly, I tell Karl-Anthony Towns like, if you're guarding Jokic, we need you to just play. Like we got Naz Reid to come in for you. Like don't, like just play your game normally. I mean, which he'll probably follow it in 3 seconds. But he's going to follow it in 3 seconds whether he's trying to or not.
I think my target would be 5 minute for that, but it's context, as you said, context dependent. Because the Towns is a really big matchup advantage for the Wolves, even if you want Anthony Edwards to be your primary here to have another guy that you can turn to.
Yeah, I guess my concern level is I don't want him to go out there playing conservatively on either end
Agreed.
because of the fouls.
Yeah,
Like they have an adequate backup for him.
It's an interesting argument for why suitable replacements are really important. Is that you can tell them, hey, it's play your game. It's not going to hurt the team as much. Yeah, as Namson says, very low offensive rebounding game so far. That is one of the surprising elements of this. Both teams, 13.5% for Minnesota, 8.1 for Denver per Quinny Glass. And Minnesota only has 7 free throw attempts so far in the entire game. Denver has 19. But I haven't seen, there were a few Anthony Edwards plays that could have been fouls. I got some of those like KCP reaches. But overall, I don't think that the free throw disparity is like a big problem or shows some sort of deficiency in the officiating.
So there is the man that I consider to be the best clutch player in the NBA, and that guy is not far behind him. They're going to have work to do against Minnesota, and I think what's really going to determine this is the Minnesota offensive end. Edwards, guarded by Jokic and Brown. A three from Alexander Walker just spins out, and another defensive rebound. I'm surprised they're going with Christian Braun here. KCP is back in. Braun is at the 3. Porter Jr. getting a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, I think Porter Jr.'s already played like 34, 36 minutes.
Murray on the attack. Gobert comes over. That's the right pass. They need this 3 from Braun, and that's a huge shot. That's what they're willing to give up, and Braun, at least for this time, makes them pay. Minnesota taking too long to get into things. They want to wave away Reed because he was bringing Gordon into the action. They want to get Murray involved. Now they go to the pick and roll. Ant should just throw it to Gobert there. He was open. Instead, Ant wants to attack Murray. They help off a Reed. His 3 late, and he banked it in.
A banker there. That was a fortunate shot. 550, 49, 48.
Jokic gets it out to KCP. He missed the three. Nice rebound by Edwards. And now they've got transition. He's got Jokic back. He'll pull the three off the heel. Reed with a huge dunk. He got inside position. Jokic tried to push it back again, but they pick him up once more. Jokic wanted to go fast. McDaniel said no. Now Jokic throws it up. Gobert knocks it away. Back to Jokic. Another beautiful look. Gordon almost traveled. Now it's KCP. Underneath Jokic. Finish.
But Minnesota made Jokic work so much harder on that possession than he wanted to.
Yeah, they very clearly have said Jokic is not bringing the ball up unimpeded. Ever. Even on a miss. Here's Edwards. Swings it weak side. Reed blows through. Oh, he got fouled from behind. Count it!
And Naz Reid having a huge response in this fourth quarter after a challenging first half. And you love to see that response from a guy who struggles early on.
Yeah, Naz Reid, 7 straight points. He's going to miss this one. Jokic, one of the rare times that he doesn't box out. He gets dunked on. And then Reed able to blow by his man. And that, we said actually in the first half that as Reed misses the free throw, though, that the pass to the opposite corner is open for Edwards in pick and roll. And he found it that time. Murray off the zoom action. Attacks Reed. And that the scheme right there is that Reed, as the Wolves are going to get a timeout here, I think, or maybe a delay a game. Reed, his job is to stick to Jokic on that action. He was expecting Gobert to step up behind him, and Gobert, one of the few times he was not really available, as we're going to get a hold here on Jokic in the screening action on Alexander Walker.
Second team foul on Denver. Minnesota has 4.
Conley is going to return now. Mike Conley had 11 in the third. He's on 27 minutes, so he'll be able to go the whole way here. Edwards has played 38. Jokic has played 36. And we'll get a timeout here. Both coaches with their complement of timeouts intact. Take a little break.
And so now Chris Finch faces a different decision with Naz Reid and Karl-Anthony Towns. There's no time pressure on this. Reid has played, not only are the Wolves playing well, but Reid is an important part of that success. And generally speaking, I go better player over a hot hand, but you can be a little bit more cautious with this. And there's also the understanding, if they don't want to embrace it, from Minnesota that you bring Karl-Anthony Towns in, that in no way means Naz Reid will not return to the game. Karl-Anthony Towns can pick up his 6th foul very quickly.
And I do think Towns is a better individual defender on Jokic than Reed is.
Same.
Although Reed, I think Reed does a better job maybe with some of the full court pressure stuff, but Towns actually can body Jokic a little bit.
More resistance there. And also, some of the times, I think Towns is a little bit better at staying connected on the other parts of the action, which can be useful in your overall team defense.
Yeah, so as of now, your difference in your game is a banked three-pointer. And the offense has really opened up here in the second half for both teams. Minnesota 33-27 in the third. The three-point shooting, Denver also has really started to hit. They're 11-26 now. And Minnesota also has found the range, 10 out of 26 for them now.
And Nate, we're at 81 possessions so far in this game. It has been extremely slow. And honestly, one of the benefits of that for Minnesota is they're trying to slow down the transition attack with Jokic, which has been an important strategy.
Yeah, Denver doesn't run a lot, but they are deadly when they do. Yeah, Nugget bench actually has 3 3-pointers. That's a whole month's worth of work for them. Oh, nobody in any kind of significant foul trouble other than Towns with 5. Both coaches also have their challenge remaining.
That's true.
Porter Jr. is going to replace Christian Brown.
And Naz Reid looks like he's going to stay on the floor. He's earned it.
What is this, going up to 52-80? Yes.
Yeah, that signs would point to yes.
Last time the Nuggets lost at home in the playoffs would have been...
Was 22.
No, it was game 2 against Miami last year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was the game they lost.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very similar series, actually, to this first round series between Miami and Boston, where they got game 2, and you're like, oh, maybe it'll be a series. Like, no. Yeah. All right, let's see it here. 4:32 left. Wolves can push it to a 2-possession game here with a bucket. Reid remains in the game rather than Towns. They're going to bring Conley out. Now he'll run pick and roll. He gets through Murray. That sets up Reid for a 3 that he knocks down. And that was excellent work there. I believe that was the play call because they're going to help at the nail off of that next shooter. That's what Denver likes to do. And so Reid, their best shooter, was right there. Jokic switched onto by Gobert in the post. Backing down. Wants to get space. Left hand. Gobert forced the miss. Tipped around. Gobert tries to throw it off Jokic, and he's done it.
Huge swing here after the timeout. Naz Reid 3 and a scoreless possession for Denver.
Look at this. You see Gordon. His job is to get to the nail. They don't rotate up another guy, and Reid drains it. Now Edwards guarded by KCP. They want to get Murray onto him. He'll go right to the bucket. Murray got the stop. It's Jokic in transition. Porter Jr. wants to get it back to Jokic here. Gobert picking him up. Jokic bludgeons in. Gobert's on that right hand. And Jokic, with the up and under, goes to the left. Gobert took away his favored move. And Jokic, he comes back better every year, showing off that improved left hand.
So, Nate, if you're Chris Finch, have that use it or lose it timeout. Denver does not have one left. Would you use it?
Indeed, I would. Yeah.
I don't see a significant fatigue advantage for either team, and so generally in that case, I would use it.
Yeah, use it in between the free throws here. Or I guess he only has one free throw, so never mind. So Denver needed that one. What's going on here, by the way? Why is there a delay?
Maybe they had to clean the floor or something.
So Jokic hits that free throw to push it back to a 1-possession game, and there is the Ueoli by Chris Finch / Micah Nori. So let's talk a little bit about some of the strategies here. It seems like when there's a screen for Jokic to post up, they're trying to switch Gobert onto him. It seems like they are willing to deal with that matchup for now defensively as the Wolves. Do they change that up a little bit? Gobert, he just picked up his 4th, right?
Yes, that was his 4th.
And I guess Reid is probably going to stay out there for now. He's been playing pretty well. We'll see whether he's got the initial assignment on Jokic. And then the other thing I would be saying, too, is if they're trying to get to that Jokic-Murray 2-man game, where's the help going to come from? Of course, at the end of that Lakers-Denver game, the Lakers didn't bring enough help. And so are they going to try to do some of that? On the other end, Jamal Murray switching on to Ant. He stopped him last time. Is going to be more isolation stuff? Are they going to try to get more from Naz Reid? He is being guarded by Gordon, but Gordon has a lot of help responsibilities as well.
Naz Reid still on the floor.
Yeah, a huge possession here by Minnesota to maintain their 2-possession advantage. They're going to screen for Ant here. He waves them away. They want to go on the other side. They engage Jokic. Here's Gobert down the lane. Missed it. Tips it back in. Great effort there to stay with it. as they got Jokic further on the floor. Great job stepping up by Gordon, but Jokic was able to stay with it. Or sorry, Gobert was able to stay with it. Now Jokic looking for Murray off the zoom action. McDaniels is on him. Jokic up. No, Gobert got it. He didn't fall for the fake floater. Now Ant with a chance at transition. Goes through the arm of Murray, and he'll get to the foul line here. Big free throws coming for Anthony Edwards.
Can push it to a 7-point lead with under 3 minutes to go. And it's getting difficult pretty quickly for Denver. They can, like, this is still within range. It's not even perfect game territory, but they're getting close to it. And great job there by Gobert reading Jokic to pass rather than to shoot it.
And that's the first time I can ever remember one of those getting broken up.
Also, it's a reasonable gamble when you consider that you're probably not going to block his floater in the first place. Might as well just play the pass. Sometimes you'll look a little silly, but that's okay. I like it.
They're going to come back with Towns now, and they are up 7.
Does Towns foul out?
Yeah, this is good pressure by McDaniels. They started this off with Edwards on him. Now it's McDaniels. Towns stepping out. Jokic, he'll take the 3. I can't believe that Towns fell for that he wasn't going to take it. You got to fly at him and run him off the line with Gobert behind him, but that 3 wasn't close in the end. Jokic has not had a good shooting game from downtown. Porter Jr. is now guarding Conley. Conley finds Gobert. No, it got deflected out of bounds. 6 seconds to shoot. So good defense by Porter Jr. that time. And let's see what they've got as an out-of-bounds call.
And it's also important for Minnesota to make sure they get back in transition. You don't want to give up an easy bucket off of a tough shot here.
Let's see. They're going to try to bring Towns out to the side. No, they just lob it up to him. KCP knew the play. They get it to Gobert. He'll take that foul line jumper, and another banked jump shot by Minnesota. And now Denver's in extreme difficulty, down 9. Jokic going at Towns. Finds Gordon. Gobert is lurking. Porter Jr. eluding Edwards for 3. And a foul. Offensive foul. He stuck the leg out.
Like to see a replay here, but it doesn't seem like...
Yeah, this might be a time for a challenge.
It doesn't seem like MPJ is fighting it too hard.
Oh, nope, yeah, that one might even be worse than Jalen Suggs yesterday. Yeah, no point in challenging that one. So the Wolves' defense has been awesome here down the end. One more bucket is going to end this game. Gobert they do the pre-switch to put Murray on Gobert. Edwards waves everyone away. Backing down. Double team coming from Jokic. Edwards goes right shoulder. Good night. Timeout Nuggets.
What a first game for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards. Edwards night, 37 points, 15 of 27 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, two blocks, 1 steal. He's been fabulous.
But the biggest thing has been this Wolves defense, that the Nuggets have carved up everyone over the last 2 postseasons. Even this Wolves team in a huge game at the end of the regular season, they carved them up in the fourth quarter. And, I mean, when's the last good shot that the Nuggets have gotten?
That Jokic open 3 was pretty good.
I mean, I would think, like, it was one where I thought he could have got a better closeout, but he's right there. Like, that's not a shot where you're, like, loving it if you're Denver.
We're not at the final numbers yet, but 120 is the metronome number that I use for Denver. 102.3 overall offensive rating, 97.5 first shot half court offensive rating.
Well, and they're 11 to 27 from 3. You can't point to that. The fact that the Nuggets only have 2 offensive rebounds right now is huge. Like that is just, like, normally they dominate there, but I mean, keeping Gobert near the rim, like, it really is all him again. Like, that Edwards is going to get all the attention after this game, and Gobert has been awesome. Like, the Nuggets only have 13 buckets at the rim in this game. Here's Jokic off the screen. tried to draw the foul. Now he's going to go through Gobert. He got it knocked away again. Goes to the fadeaway and scores, but they'll take those 2-pointers.
Especially if it works some time to get the shot.
Into Conley, and they'll burn some clock here. KCP trying to deny Edwards. Now they get it. No, the steal. Too much pressure. Murray looking for a three. Knocked away, and I think that's off Porter Jr.
No, I think that it hit McDaniels after it hit Porter Jr.
Oh, you think so? Okay, yeah, I didn't see that. Nobody's complaining or challenging, so you must be right. Yeah, Nuggets desperately need a three here. They could maybe squeeze out 3 possessions, but you got to get 3 threes. Gordon, screen for Jokic. He'll take it. There it is. They should have been ready for it. They weren't. They should probably have been switching that, honestly, at this point in the game. Down to 5. 6. But if Minnesota can just avoid disaster here, they should still be fine. Edwards, and we're going to get a hold. Oh, this will be a non-shooting foul, so Denver costs themselves 2 seconds there. Would you consider intentionally fouling Gobert in the screening action?
Yes, I would consider it. But the problem is you don't want to waste the time. It's more opportunistic.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, that's what they did. Jokic tried to foul him. They didn't do it.
He ran away.
He ran away, and it was actually wide open for a dunk. Here's Edwards going to try to put Gordon in the mix. Gets through him. That's a foul.
Foul.
And I think they're going to call it on the pass off, but it doesn't matter. They're in the bonus here. That's the second in the last 2 minutes. So not a good outcome there for Denver with all the time running off and then the foul being committed. And yeah, that's a pretty clear one. They've been not calling that as much when the guys run parallel to each other, but Gordon gave him a pretty good shove on that play. Edwards hits the first, pushing it to a critical 3 possessions here.
And that was his 40th point of the contest.
And there's another one. Back to 8, and that'll be our last time out of the evening, at least on the Denver side.
So as Denver here, you need to get something really, really quickly. But even then, even if you get a rapid-fire 3, you're going to need a backcourt pressure, turnover, and Minnesota has 2 timeouts remaining, so they should be able to. I mean, this isn't, unless somebody spilled some Knicks Sixers into this series, it should be okay.
Even if they did, this is 3 possessions and 8 points, not 5 or 6.
True. Maybe I'm falling into
it would have to be a double shot of Knicks Sixers.
Yeah.
Catch up on a few other interesting things here. Denver is 1 out of 8 from mid-range. Both teams actually, after some good shooting in the second half, are over 40% on threes.
Oh, wait, Nate, I have a stat for you.
Oh, please.
Proportion of Denver shots that have come in the half court. Shot, half court. 89.2.
That is an insanely high number.
Part of that is the lack of offensive rebounds, because remember that the way Cleaning Glass does it, those count against it as well. And then Minnesota, 87.5.
Yeah, but you would think in the end, like, Denver is the superior half-court executing team. That's the other thing you can point to, Danny. They haven't given up a single system bucket in this whole game, I don't think. Jokic going to hand off to Porter Jr. He'll fire the 3, and he drains that. But Denver is out of timeouts here. They're going to try to deny, and he needs to work hard to get open. Now he has. He gets out of the trap easily. Going to go right in.
Doing? Okay. Well, there we go.
I mean, if they don't stop you, why not? Here's Gordon. He'll fire the 3. Nobody came up there, and that's going to truly do it now. Denver, the myth of invincibility is pierced, and we are looking at a very long series in all likelihood now, particularly because the Wolves have shown a lot of really interesting advantages, which we will talk about post-haste here on Dunked On Prime. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Nothing
for
easy.
Game 7.
Especially scoring in that game.
All right, thanks so much for joining us. This is great fun. Looking forward to the rest of this series.